Between January and March of 2025, an estimated $7.6 billion in foreign investment quietly pulled out of Dubai, and almost nobody reported it. Not the major business outlets, not the influencers posting poolside reels from the Palm Jumeirah, not the real estate agents still selling off-plan apartments with phrases like guaranteed returns and golden visa eligibility. Nobody. And that silence? That's not an accident. That's a strategy. Because when you build a city based on perception, on the idea that everything is always growing, always thriving, always bigger and shinier than last year, the last thing you can afford is for the world to see the cracks. But the cracks are here. They're in the data. They're in the departure halls. And if you know where to look, they're impossible to miss. This is the story of what's actually happening in Dubai right now. Not the version you see on social media. Not the version you hear from developers trying to close a deal. The version that shows up when you pull the numbers, talk to the people leaving, and walk through the parts of the city the cameras conveniently avoid. Let's start with the money, because money doesn't lie, even when everyone around it does. Dubai's economy runs on a simple but fragile equation. Foreign capital flows in, development spreads outward, population grows, services expand, and the whole machine feeds itself. For 2 decades, that equation held. Foreign direct investment into the UAE reportedly hit $23 billion in 2023, according to UNCTAD figures, and Dubai captured the lion's share. Luxury towers went up. 5-star hotels multiplied like franchises. The city became a magnet for Russian oligarchs, Indian tech money, Chinese manufacturing wealth, and European crypto entrepreneurs looking for tax-friendly ground. But here's what the glossy numbers concealed. A significant portion of that investment was speculative. Not operational, not job-creating, speculative. Capital parked in off-plan properties that nobody intended to live in. Units bought as visa vehicles, not homes. And when the math on those investments started to shift, rising service charges, tightening global liquidity, new competing jurisdictions offering similar benefits, the money didn't just slow down, it started reversing. Multiple financial analysts tracking capital flows in the Gulf region have flagged an alarming trend since late 2024. Net new business registrations in Dubai's free zones reportedly declined by 14% year-over-year in Q1 2025, according to data compiled by regional economic consultancies. That doesn't mean businesses aren't opening. It means more are closing, or relocating, than arriving. And that distinction matters enormously. Now drive along Sheikh Zayed Road today and count the dark floors, the ones with no lights on at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday. Not the penthouses. Those are always dark. They're mostly empty investments. Count the mid-floors. The residential units between the 10th and 30th stories. The ones that should have families inside, cooking dinner, watching television, living. 3 years ago, those floors glowed. Today? Block after block, the towers go dim earlier and earlier. This isn't speculation, it's observable. And it matches what property data trackers have been quietly reporting. According to several independent real estate analytics platforms, rental occupancy in key Dubai corridors has softened considerably since mid-2024. Areas like Business Bay, JLT, and parts of Dubai Marina, once waitlisted neighborhoods where tenants competed for units, are now seeing landlords offer 1 month free, 2 months free, even flexible payment plans just to avoid vacancies. And it's not just residential. Walk through what should be Dubai's busiest shopping corridors. The Mall of the Emirates still pulls crowds on weekends, sure. But during weekday afternoons, entire wings feel hollow. Smaller malls, the ones Raif Yiko that popped up in JBR, in Al Barsha, in Deira, are reporting store closures at rates not seen since 2009. According to industry insiders who spoke on condition of anonymity, foot traffic at mid-tier retail locations dropped by roughly 22% between September 2024 and March 2025. The hotels tell the same story, just with better PR. Dubai's Department of Economy and Tourism proudly announced that hotel occupancy hit 78.7% in 2024, A strong number on paper. But dig beneath that headline and something shifts. Average daily rates, which had surged during the post-COVID luxury boom, have reportedly started to flatten. Revenue per available room, the metric hoteliers actually care about, showed signs of compression in Q4 2024, and new supply keeps coming. Over 17,000 new hotel rooms are expected to enter the market by the end of 2026. Into what demand? Imagine a hotel built for 2,000 guests serving breakfast to 150. That's not a hypothetical. That's a Tuesday morning in several of Dubai's newer hospitality developments outside the prime tourist strip. The buffets are still laid out, immaculate and enormous. But the dining rooms echo. Her name is Priya Menon, and she spent 9 years building a life in Dubai Marina until the math stopped working. She arrived in 2016 as a marketing manager for a hospitality group. Good salary, tax-free income, a studio apartment with a partial sea view that cost her 65,000 dirhams a year. By 2024, that same studio was listed at 110,000 dirhams. Her salary had barely moved. "I loved Dubai," she told a regional lifestyle publication last year. "But there's a point where you realize the city isn't designed for you to stay." Priya's story isn't unique. It reflects a pattern that multiple surveys and expat forums have documented extensively. The cost of living in Dubai has surged, reportedly by over 30% since 2021, in key categories like housing, schooling, and healthcare. While salary growth for mid-tier professionals has remained largely stagnant. According to a widely cited 2024 expat survey, nearly 41% of foreign professionals in the UAE said they were actively considering relocation within the next 18 months. The top reasons? Cost of living, limited long-term security, and a growing sense that the city's value proposition, earn more, save more, no longer adds up. Take another case. James Okoro, a 38-year-old logistics coordinator from Lagos, moved to Dubai in 2020 during the pandemic boom. He worked brutal hours, saved what he could, and sent money home every month. By early 2025, his rent had increased twice, his employer had cut bonuses, and the cost of his daughter's nursery had jumped by 25%. He left in February. "Dubai was the dream for about 2 years," he said in a widely shared social media post. And this is the part that stings most for the city's leadership. It's not the ultra-wealthy leaving. The billionaires are fine. They'll always be fine. It's the middle. The skilled workers, the teachers, the nurses, the engineers, the restaurant managers, the mid-level tech workers, who make a city actually function. When they leave, the infrastructure of daily life begins to thin. Restaurants can't find staff. Schools lose enrollment. Medical clinics reduce hours. The city still looks magnificent from the outside, but the internal machinery starts grinding. Here's the paradox that keeps Dubai's urban planners awake at 3 a.m. The city cannot afford to stop building, and it cannot afford to keep building. Dubai's GDP is less reliant on oil than most people assume, reportedly only about 1% direct oil contribution, but it is overwhelmingly reliant on construction, real estate, and tourism. These three sectors, along with their supply chains, account for a massive share of economic activity. When building slows, everything downstream contracts. Jobs vanish. Visa holders leave. Consumer spending drops. Tax revenue falls, and the cycle feeds on itself. So the solution, historically, has been to build more, launch bigger projects, announce a new island, a new tower, a new mega development that generates headlines, attracts investment, and keeps the wheel spinning. Dubai Creek Tower, Dubai Islands, the various phases of Expo City redevelopment. The list is long. The ambition is staggering. But ambition without absorption is just inventory. And right now, Dubai reportedly has one of the highest ratios of unsold or unoccupied residential units of any major global city. Independent property researchers estimated that by late 2024, tens of thousands of completed units across Dubai remained either unsold or vacant. A figure the government doesn't officially publish, but that multiple market analysts have attempted to quantify. The comparison that haunts economists isn't to other Gulf cities. It's to places like Miami in 2007 or Dublin in 2008. Cities where a fever of construction outpaced actual demand, where build it and they will come became build it and pray someone comes. Dubai's leadership is well aware of this parallel. That's partly why messaging around the market remains relentlessly upbeat. Confidence is a load-bearing wall. And then there's the competition. For years, Dubai's pitch was simple. Come here, pay no income tax, enjoy world-class infrastructure, access global markets. It worked beautifully. But the world caught on. Saudi Arabia is now spending hundreds of billions on its own mega projects. NEOM, The Line, the Red Sea developments, actively recruiting the same talent and capital that Dubai attracted. Riyadh has introduced its own visa programs. Oman and Bahrain have streamlined their business registration processes. Even countries like Portugal, Greece, and Thailand have entered the residency by investment game. Dubai's competitive moat, once seemingly impassable, is eroding from multiple sides, and some of that erosion is self-inflicted. Regulatory shifts, fee increases, and a perception among some business owners that the cost of operating in Dubai is creeping toward levels that negate the tax advantage have all contributed to a quiet reassessment. Not a mass exodus, not yet, but a thinning. According to the Dubai Department of Economy and Tourism, 2024 was a record-breaking year. And technically that's true, but it hides something critical. Yes, Dubai welcomed over 18 million international visitors. Yes, that was a new high. But the growth rate was slowing. The year-over-year increase was smaller than in 2023. Average spending per tourist, adjusted for inflation, was reportedly flat or declining. And a growing share of visitors were coming from price-sensitive markets, spending less per trip than the high-rolling tourists of 2021 and 2022. Officials have responded to questions about the cooling market with characteristic confidence. Dubai's fundamentals remain strong, a senior government spokesperson told a business publication earlier this year. We continue to attract record investment, record visitors, and record population growth. And to their credit, the headline numbers do support that narrative, if you don't look too closely. But multiple independent analysts have pushed back. The gap between Dubai's official narrative and the ground-level experience has never been wider. One Gulf-based economic researcher told a regional news outlet in early 2025. The numbers are technically accurate, but selectively presented. This is the tension at the heart of Dubai's story right now. The city has built a brand so powerful that questioning it feels almost subversive. To suggest that something might be wrong, that the growth might be plateauing, that the model might have limits, is to challenge not just an economic forecast, but an identity. Dubai is a success. Dubai is the future. Dubai is what happens when you dream big enough. And that mythology has real power. It continues to attract tourists, investors, influencers, and dreamers. But mythology also has a dangerous quality. It makes course correction nearly impossible. Because admitting a problem means admitting the story has a flaw. And the story is all Dubai has ever sold. So where does this end? Honestly, nobody knows with certainty. Dubai has defied predictions before. After the 2009 crash, when the emirate required a $10 billion bailout from Abu Dhabi, plenty of analysts wrote its obituary. The city came back, bigger, shinier, louder than ever. That resilience is real, and it would be foolish to ignore it. But 2025 is not 2009. The global economic environment is different. Interest rates are higher. Liquidity is tighter. The competitors are stronger. The cost base is heavier. And the population of skilled mid-tier workers, the human fuel that actually runs a city, is under pressure in a way it wasn't a decade ago. If current trends continue, and there's no guarantee they will, but there's also no clear indication they'll reverse, Dubai faces a slow squeeze rather than a dramatic collapse. Not a crash, a compression. Fewer businesses opening than closing. Rents softening but not crashing. Hotels fill, but at lower rates. Construction continues, but absorption is lagging. The kind of decline that doesn't make headlines, because it happens gradually. One empty storefront at a time. One cancelled lease at a time. One family packing their bags at a time. The cranes still rise against the skyline. The fountains still dance outside the Burj Khalifa. The Instagram posts still make it look like paradise. But behind the glass and the gold, something is shifting. And whether it's a temporary adjustment or the start of something deeper, that's the question this city can't afford to answer honestly. What do you think? Have you been to Dubai recently? Did you notice these changes yourself? Or does the city still feel as electric as the brochures promise? Drop your experience in the comments. I read every single one. And this is a conversation that needs real voices, not just data points. If this analysis gives you a clearer picture of what's really happening on the ground, consider subscribing. We track these trends month by month, and this story is nowhere close to finished. Hit the bell icon so you don't miss what comes next. Because what happens in Dubai over the next 12 months could reshape how we think about megacities, ambition, and what happens when the dream meets reality.